Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Computer America Show. The show itself proper will be starting here in just a moment, so stay tuned as
Your
we
show will
interview
go
AERIX
live in
Drones.
5
Here we go.
seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Grossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello.
Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Sorry about that, Rocky. Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It is the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. And yeah, we're still getting adjusted to our new time slot and our new format. It's not the easiest thing in the world when you have been doing it a certain way for a number of decades, or at least in my case, a number of years, and you all of a sudden start switching up. We're in day 2. We're going to get it figured out, and I think it's going to be a good move. But here in the meantime, for the end user, all you really need to know is that today we have Mr. Robert Morrison here with us. He is from AERIX Drones. He is the CEO and founder, I believe, unless I'm getting that wrong. No, founder and CEO. There we go. And yeah, no, he's going to join us today to talk all about AERIX Drones, what they have to offer, and what they have new. Because obviously, drones, I mean, it's right up there with virtual reality. And by the way, virtual reality, of course, going to play its part in today's interview. But yeah, there's such a hot topic, I think, for a lot of people that they go hand in hand, and they're only going to get more prevalent as the days go by. So here, and again, that's the first segment, and then in the second segment, we're going to have a little bit of time for news, where we are going to talk about the new Google event, where they released the Pixel, which is their new iPhone competitor, and we're going to be discussing everything that Google has to offer. But yeah, no, and again, before we really get into this, I want everyone to know to head on over to ComputerAmerica.com, where we will have links to all the stories we talk about, as well as to today's guest, which is again AERIX Drones. We'll have links and topics that we discuss, everything that we do here on the Computer America Show. You will be able to find out over at ComputerAmerica.com. And over at ComputerAmerica.com, you will find links to, of course, any place that you want to find the archive of the show, even though you can find us on places like iTunes, Blueberry, and Stitcher, many, many places, as well as listening live to all of our networks. You can, of course, find the YouTube video as well. The video currently is kind of just our logo, but we're hoping to get that back up and running here shortly, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, because of the shorter format, I'm not going to talk everyone's ears off like I normally do with the morning announcements. So instead, I think we're just going to jump right into it and give as much time as possible to our guest. And again, his name is Robert Morrison. He's the founder and CEO of AERIX Drones. They were on earlier this year, and it's great to have him back on because they have a lot more to talk about. So welcome onto the show, or welcome back onto the show, I should say, Robert.
Hey, thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure indeed. And yeah, and again, sorry, Craig Craig couldn't be here to join us, but he's out sick for a little while. But I know he's listening, so he's very, very interested. He's very, very interested in drones, I think, as a lot of us are. And I don't want to kind of put you guys on the spot or anything like that, but I think AERIX Drones was like the first drone that I actually got. I was out at CES, and I think and I believe you guys were out there, and I think AERIX Drones was like, one of the first drones that I was able to pick up. And so tell us a little bit about AERIX Drones and, kind of how you guys started, and, just what is AERIX Drones' mission?
Sure. So AERIX Drones, we are a U.S.-based drone company specializing in handheld, tiny drones, designed mostly for indoor flight. We're out of Rochester, New York, where about 9 months out of the year we are indoors. So that's why I decided to stick with a niche market of designing small drones that can be flown indoors during those 9 months that I can't fly outside. So yeah, we definitely, we were at CES at the beginning of this year. We're going to be going back again in 2017, hopefully showcasing some more things that we have coming up for the new year, in addition to everything that comes out for this fourth quarter. And so basically, we're just looking to get people started on their drone mission. People that don't have, $1,000 budget for one of these large drones, can come to our website and get a drone for under $100 that they can start flying at home and in the office and things like that, just getting the feel for it without having to break the bank.
Right. And I think that is one of the most important niches that you fill is that, sure, there are, of course, the higher end models that can cost you multi-thousands of dollars before you even get into, it's like the commercial, which is tens of thousands, and then the hobbyist, which can be thousands. And, and of course, there are others that you can get for, 6, 7, 800. But I think, 6, 7, 800 is still a lot for someone who's just looking to, get started and see what all this drone business is about. And I think that's where AERIX Drones can find a really good niche. Are you, and of course, I guess you're finding a lot of your customers are usually first time or, for kids or, just people who don't want to jeopardize a multi-$100 investment?
It's actually surprisingly quite a diverse market for our customer base. I was surprised. The more we dig into it, the more we find out that, there's a lot of enthusiasts, drone enthusiasts who have those thousands of dollar drones, and they want something fun and small to fly just because they love the sport. There's a lot of wives buying for husbands and mothers buying for kids. And predominantly, I think the main user of our drones are males between the age of 25 and 55, which I found quite fascinating. It continues to kind of be that way, which tends to be where the market's pointing.
No, and there's worse things than having mass appeal, I will say. So, and we have here, you used to be known as Axis Drones. So what's with the change?
Right. So we originally launched, it's been, I think, 18 months now since we launched, and it was originally Axis Drones. And there was a little bit of issue with trademarking the word Axis. Well, it sounded nice, it rolled off the tongue. I couldn't really trademark or lock down some brandability and intellectual property around the word Axis. So in April of this year, took a look at it and went through about 10 different names that we were looking to make a switch to, and landed on AERIX, which is when you say it, it sounds like the name Eric. So some people get a little bit confused with the the phonetics of it, but it's actually AERIX Drones, AERIX. But just to be safe, we also bought AERIX Drones, ERICS, drones.com to point to it, just in case somebody got a little confused. But basically, the name change was to make sure that we could get a trademark on the name, so that we could start protecting our intellectual property and branding our business moving forward with a solid foundation.
Man, that enterprising drone salesman Eric is going to be so sad when it comes time to get that website. But
he will.
But that's okay, because he's going to see his competition being, of course, AERIX Drones. And it's okay. So Axis, I'm sure there was a whole mess there, but AERIX Drones going forward. And again, if you get confused about the spelling or anything like that, go over to computeramerica.com and we'll have a link directly to the website. That easy. So let's start getting into the drones, because I think that's the meat of what you do, and I think that's the meat of what people want to hear about. And we hear, or at least before, drones weren't like drones. I think a couple years ago were still military, kind of application, that kind of thing. And drones really had a bad connotation, but the term quadricopter was, or quadcopter was everywhere. And that was it seemed like to me the predecessor to the catch-all that is now the drone. So what is a drone, and is it different than a quadcopter?
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct with, originally drones were known as, large autonomous aircraft, mostly, related to military applications. Today, it's still a heated debate amongst enthusiasts and people in the field. Some people say a drone has to have a camera. Some people go a step further and say that a drone has to be autonomous to some degree, with programming, things along those, so it can have obstacle avoidance or flight path program to be able to operate without the human aspect to some degree. I consider a drone to be to have a camera, to be something that I can fly and have an additional purpose besides flying around. Quadcopter definitely is what launched us into the market. A quadcopter being anything with 4 rotors that flies on, a 6-axis stabilization. So quadcopter, a drone can be a quadcopter, and a quadcopter can be a drone, back and forth. But once again, like I said, there's a little bit of gray area in there as far as what people are willing to call a drone. For me, we did get some feedback. Our first few models that we had didn't have a camera. I was just focusing more along the lines of mechanics of quadcopter flight.
Mm-hmm.
And, when we called them drones, we got some flack from people saying this isn't a drone, it doesn't have a camera, it doesn't have autonomous flight. But now that we've gotten into, I designed the Vidius HD. The original Vidius is the one that you guys saw out at CNET, or not CNET, at
CES, right?
CES. And that was our first one that we put a camera in, the world's smallest live streaming drone. So I consider that a drone because it has a camera. It can stream back through your smartphone, and we started working on some flight programming things as well in there to kind of give it a little bit, a little more to be autonomous. So that's pretty much where I draw the line. If it has a camera and you can do some extra things with it, and it can balance itself, I consider that a drone.
Right. Yeah. And of course, matter of semantics, but I guess going forward, we're more going to, of course, focus on what you would consider a drone, because you have a new product called the Vidius, the Vidius. There we go. Typos, they're fun. The Vidius HD. And so you mentioned that, what we saw earlier this year was the Vidius, and this is the HD. So what can you tell us about, just this line, and then why the added HD?
Yep. So the Vidius that we launched at the beginning of the year was by far one of our most popular product launches. Everybody was excited to have something that was so small, so compact, fit in the palm of your hand, that you could fly first-person view, meaning that you could see the video in real time as it was transmitting from the drone to your smartphone. We sold so many of these, got so much great praise, and we also received a lot of feedback, which is how we've always grown the line of AERIX Drones. Is we take the feedback from every user, good or bad, and we take it all constructively, and then I put it together and I say, okay, what things can I make better? What things can I fix? How can I address the things that people want, what they think it shouldn't have, what it should have? And so I spent a lot of time quickly between the beginning of the year and just a couple of months ago when we launched the Vidius HD pre-order, improving upon the original Vidius design. So the HD comes from, the original camera was a 480, which was a standard definition video transmission, which at the time was great because it's to put something that can stream video in a drone that small. Nobody had been able to do that. And then now I said, hey, let's see, can we put a 720p HD, the minimum HD video into this size of a drone? And it was definitely an engineering feat, but we ended up making it happen. So it's got a 720p wide angle camera lens in there now that still streams live video, and you can record right to your Apple device or your Android phone through our apps. And that also brought us into getting into what we added in there called goggle mode. So we'll get into a little bit of how the HD now is compatible with virtual reality goggles like Google Cardboard and any of the other ones that are out there. And we got one of our own goggle sets that we're going to be giving away currently. When you pre-order the Vidius HD, you get a free set of virtual reality goggles. So in addition, people were asking, one of the hardest things about flying in a first-person view is maintaining your altitude up and down while you're trying to fly around. So we put in an altitude assistance module, which basically is an onboard barometer, which allows the drone to stay roughly within, a 1 to 2 foot range altitude-wise, which makes it so much easier to fly around and not have to worry that you're going to crash into the ceiling or into the floor. So that was one of the largest features we put in addition to the HD video. And then just some other things like blade guards, some emergency blade stops and some extra upgrades that we put in for the drone. And I think we've got a real winner here so far. Everybody's really excited, our existing customer base, to get their hands on this one for the holiday season.
Yeah, no, you know, of course, everyone can go out there and, you know, you have a video up of it. You can see pictures of this thing. And I mean, you mentioned the blade guards. You know, they're very minimal. Like the whole design is obviously very minimalistic. Do the blade guards actually help, you know, keep it from like running into walls, or is it when you try to catch it in your hands, it doesn't, you know, your fingers are less likely to, you know, catch a blade?
So the blade guards are designed to, so if you hit the ceiling, it won't crash. It'll kind of just stick to the ceiling because it prevents the blades from touching ceiling. And the same thing's true for objects and walls. If you kind of bounce into a wall, it's not going to blow the blade off and your flight's going to be over. It'll kind of just bounce back off. And the blade guards were something that I put into my very first quadcopter design, which was the Nano Drone for Beginners, which, by the way, I just got issued my U.S. design patent for on September 20th.
Congrats.
So it's nice to see it. It's nice to see the patent office finally moving along on some of these drones. So the blade guard thing was something that a lot of people that have been with us as customers along the way, they've really grown to like that feature, especially for indoor flight, because they don't have to worry as much about crashing into something and then trying to find the little blade if it pops off. So that's why I incorporated those into the new Vidius HD design.
Definitely.
And then I still made it to where, you know, if somebody wants to take them off, you can just take apart the shell and remove them. But this way they were a little more fixed onto the aircraft than the previous versions.
Right. And of course we're using, you know, the term blades and crashing and, you know, and that kind of thing. But, you know, go take a look at these things. They're, you know, they're plastic, they're lightweight. No one's going to lose a head over this. It's, you know, these things are very safe.
My 3-year-old son has become an expert pilot with the Vidius HD because of the altitude control, and I can say firsthand the blades. I've been hit with blades. When we say blades, it's basically a tiny little plastic propeller, and they really don't hurt at all. It's kind of comical. Whereas, you know, if you see a larger drone flying around and you go to try and touch one of those, you're in for some trouble there.
Oh yeah.
So these are definitely you know, more friendly for indoor and pets and kids and things of that nature. Definitely.
So, and you know, we've been hearing a lot about virtual reality and of course augmented reality, and virtual reality, like it's it just seems like in terms of, you know, kind of the next iteration of entertainment, or at least a new medium, virtual reality, I don't want to say that it's not going to happen, but its adoption rates are very slow. So, you know, we're seeing that with you know, content is slowly, ever so slowly becoming ready for virtual reality. Virtual reality headsets are becoming, you know, the adoption rate is pretty slow. But I think I've heard from multiple people that in drones, though, virtual reality makes a lot of sense, because I mean, you know, the whole point of a drone is, you know, at least for a lot of people who fly them, is that camera that you talked about, you know, that you introduced with the Vidius, and having the camera in there, you know, it makes a lot of sense. So why was virtual reality such a big, or I'm sorry, why was virtual reality such an important feature for the Vidius HD?
It just kind of goes hand in hand, exactly as you've been talking about. You know, for going back a little ways into first-person view drones, there have been goggles out there that you could purchase that, you know, were anywhere from $400 to $1,000 that would allow the transmission of video from a larger drone into a goggle headset. Well, what kind of came about now with the creation of, you know, the Samsung One, the Oculus Rift and things like that, where they're using a screen or a phone or a smartphone inside these goggles, it made it a little bit more readily available, because everybody, for the most part, has a smartphone. Not everybody's going to run out and spend an additional $800 on a set of goggles that have a screen built in. But so what we're looking at for the VR goggle, as far as drones go, is, hey, we've got a relatively inexpensive piece of equipment. It's basically just a housing and some lenses that are adjustable that you then slide your smartphone into, and then using, you know, app design to where you can then split the screen in two. What it what it does is it allows that tiny screen of your phone, when you put on the goggles and you split the screen and you have two independent lenses and each side separated, it makes it feel as if you're sitting in the room looking at a much larger screen. And that's kind of the premise of virtual reality overall. You know, they've always been trying to get you immersed in what you're seeing and what you're doing. And this is kind of just a different aspect of that. And now, once again, similar to drone and quadcopter, there's also, you know, some people are saying, well, virtual reality can't be fixed. It can't be a fixed screen. You know, when you move your head, the view should change. So now you're seeing a lot more technology come out with, you know, 360-degree videos and pictures and 180-degree field of view, where not only can you see what's in front of you, but you can actually turn your head and see what's around you in that image. Drone use hasn't really gotten into the 180 and the 360-degree view. I see that coming very, very soon, especially, spoiler alert, something that I'm working on. But for now, currently, we use it as just basically, instead of having to hold a monitor or hold your phone to view, why not put it in these goggles and then, you know, have both of your hands free to continue to fly, and have this image projected right in front of your eyes, giving you that real, you know, first-person view experience. And that's how I think, especially when you look at drone racing, they're all using the goggles that are, you know, projecting the images through a screen. It's definitely a little more fluid, but it's the same exact premise. You're seeing firsthand, first person, what that drone, the front of that drone is seeing, and it's a really fun experience.
Right. I really do feel like that's where first person, you know, virtual reality for drones is kind of heading, is that, you know, you mentioned drone racing and things like that. And I think for hobbyists, they're going to want, you know, just kind of what does the camera see? But for filming and things like that in the future, you know, something that you're going to use in, you know, in for display purposes or in movies, you know, that's where the 360-degree, you know, kind of, camera, you know, kind of makes sense. But for a lot of first time, you know, but for a lot of people, I think just the virtual reality pointing straight ahead to what you're looking at is going to make a lot of sense. And you know, this kind of goes back to what you were saying about how you listen to feedback. How often do you get people saying, "Well, I feel like you should include a 360-degree camera," or "I feel like you should include, you know, things that you know, a lot of your drones are sub, you know, 100 or 150 or 200." Do you ever get people who come to you and say, "Well, how about this?" And you're like, "Well, that's going to be another $500 if we tried to include that." I mean, do people ever ask for like more than what you are trying to offer?
In the beginning, they did, but now, what's really happening here is the technology is advancing so rapidly, and luckily, at the same time, the costs are going down. So a year ago, a standard racing drone setup with FPV would be well over $1,000 to $2,000. You can get them now for $400 or $500 sometimes,
Wow.
ready to fly out of the box. So just seeing that technology get better and the costs go down, it kind of helps us out being a smaller, physically smaller drone. Obviously, we need the technology to go into those drones to also be smaller and cost effective at the same time. So, we have had some questions and some requests for some technology that I'm not sure we'll ever get to in this size of a drone, such as like GPS and things like that, just because of the sheer battery power that's required for some of these things. And being such a small drone, it's kind of hard to maintain a decent flight time. You know, you're always running with that weight versus lift and rotation versus flight time issue when it comes to everything like that. So, but
Definitely.
I do see maybe a 180-degree field of view camera that, you know, you could look back and forth coming up soon. I definitely think they're going to implement something like that in the racing drone industry, just because, you know, when you think about racing cars, you got a helmet on and your field of view is pretty much, you know, limited to about 180 degrees looking left and right. And I think they're kind of going to get to that aspect for drone racing as well.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so man, this new show format, it's going to take some getting used to. But in about the last 5 minutes we have here, I say we go over AERIX Drones, and let's start from the videos HD and work our way down to all the different drones you have and all the different intended audiences you have for the drones.
Sure. So the Vidius HD obviously is our newest model. It's on pre-order currently for $75. That gets you the drone itself, the controller, and a free set of goggles, the virtual reality goggles that come with it. And then you get your choice of either an iOS or an Android app so that you can fly and record and take pictures in 720p video, first person. That's going to be the biggest seller this holiday season. We had also just recently launched the Black Talon, which was a first-person view beginner racing drone. A little bit outside of our wheelhouse because it was a little bit larger than all of our other drones, but basically we shrunk all the technology from a racing drone down into the smallest possible thing that we could do, and launched that. We've had some really good feedback on that as well, and we've remained sold out since we launched it, so we're hoping to get enough stock in inventory for the holidays. Prior to that, you had the original Vidius, which was our first release of the first-person view drone. That will be replaced by the HD once everything comes out in November. We have the AERIX Turbo X drone. The Turbo X drone doesn't have a camera on it, but it is the world's fastest nano drone. So fits in the palm of your hand. It's the exact same size as the Vidius HD. It's like 4.2 centimeters. And this thing goes over 30 miles per hour. It's a lot of fun. Not recommended for beginners, but there's a lot of professional, drone flyers out there, enthusiasts that really love the Turbo X just because it's so much fun to fly with, and it's pretty exhilarating. Then we had the AERIX, which is still the world's smallest quadcopter. That thing is super tiny. It fits inside the controller case. It's only 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters wide and 2 centimeters tall. A lot of fun packed into a tiny little drone, tiny little case. Those are $30 on our website. And then, of course, we still have our #1 seller, which is the Nano Drone for Beginners. That was the very first drone that launched Axis Drones into AERIX Drones. It's got the blade guards, the landing skids, and as I just mentioned, we are finally fully patented in the United States for that design. So we will continue selling those en masse. Like I said, it's our #1 selling drone still. No camera, but it gives you all the mechanics of quadcopter flight. It teaches you everything you need to know to fly any size drone, any size quadcopter, in case your GPS fails or in case you have to manually fly your $1,000, $2,000 drone. And that was always my goal, was to teach people how to fly for less and to minimize the risk. If you crash a $40 beginner drone 100 times, it's still going to keep flying for the most part, unless you crash into a fish tank or a lake or an oncoming car. So I mean, for $40, you're going to get a whole lot of enjoyment and a lot of learning out of that drone.
No, absolutely. And, you can check out all the pictures there, over at their website. It's, you have such a wide range, and, I'm going to try, and of course, Robert, if you're up for this, I can invoke my host powers. And if you want to stay over, just an extra 5-10 minutes to talk about some of the other questions we have here, because, they are so great, between the FAA regulations, what is drone racing, what are the future of drones. So if you want to stay another 10 minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would love to.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, and we have about another minute or two here left in this segment. So I think we should get kind of right into. Let's start with this one. And you mentioned your new top of the line. It was drone racing. So let's talk about your the AERIX Black Talon drone. You mentioned it's like it's your most expensive drone. Obviously $150 as far as drones go. Still very affordable, but you mentioned that it had, it's a little bit bigger, and you had to cram technology in there that is not in the others for drone racing. So what makes the AERIX Black Talon so different, and what makes it, suitable for racing that the others aren't so much?
So because it's a little bit bigger, it's definitely a little more stable. You'll find that the smaller you go with a quadcopter, the more sensitive the controls are. So we wanted something that would be not only fast, but if you're going to have the speed, you also want the stability similar to a racing drone. The biggest thing was trying to get a 5.8 gigahertz video camera into a drone as small as possible. The 5.8 gigahertz is what all of the racing drones use. It is similar to like a ham operator channel, but it can broadcast on separate channels. The video is a little bit more stable. for racing and fast. It has a little less of a lag time, and then it goes to a separate monitor, or you can use third-party monitors, third-party goggles like the ones I was talking about, and that's where the drone racing comes into. So these guys, if you get into drone racing, you're going to spend thousands of dollars. It's a very fun hobby. I personally have 5 different racing setups. I have goggles, I have stands, I have monitors, I have, you name it, I have it. I enjoy the sport thoroughly myself, but I wanted something that was, $150 or less that would get somebody into this sport and get them excited.
Definitely. And Robert, I hate to interrupt you, but we'll be right back. Commercials, and we'll be right back.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Sorry, gender-neutral connectors just can't be AC/DC. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor. It looks a little like a smoke alarm, but it really houses a PIR, that's passive infrared motion sensor, that can cover 1,600 square feet, plus an ultrasonic motion sensor that can cover 1,000 square feet, plus an ambient light sensor, and you have ways to adjust the sensitivity of all three. It's made for wiring into AC power and selectively powering a load like a light or a motor when either or both you choose of the motion sensor's triggers and when the ambient light level you set is appropriate. You can also set between 5 seconds and half an hour how long the load remains powered when it triggers. So bottom line, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor can bring automation to any room, battery-free. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour as we continue on here, and we've decided to keep over our first segment guest, because we have so much more to talk about, and there are a lot of questions about getting into a sport like this, be it drone racing or just as a hobby, just flying drones, taking pictures, photography. And again, we have Mr. Robert Morrison here. He is the founder and CEO of AERIX Drones, formerly Axis Drones. And I'm sorry I had to cut you off there, but yeah, you were just getting into the fact that that drone racing is on the up and up. You obviously are 5 different drone rigs. You must be pretty passionate about this. What is the future of professional drone racing, or is it going to continue to be a hobby of drone racing?
I definitely see, just due to the competitive nature of human beings in general, we always want to go faster. We always want to do something better and be first. And as you'll see, ESPN, I don't know if you saw, they did the first thing with the Drone Racing League.
I saw that.
And they're really commercializing it, and it's amazing. We've been flying and racing in abandoned buildings and warehouses, and I've been watching drone racing come to the U.S. for about a year and a half now, predominantly from Europe and other countries where it was more popular first. But it's definitely going to be mainstream. You're still going to have some underground, racing and stuff going on as well. But I see this right up there as a competitive sport because there's a lot to it. It's fun for spectators. They're finding ways for everybody to feel involved in these races. And as I had mentioned before, with the increase in technology and the decrease in costs, it's going to be easier and easier as time goes on for more people to, get their first rig and start racing and experimenting. And especially going back to our Black Talon for $150, they can start doing that in their backyard or at a local field. So, and currently, moving into like FAA stuff, all of our drones, there's no FAA registration. Everything that we have is well below the weight requirement. Whereas most of the racing drones and other camera drones and things of that nature, the larger drones, you now have to register them with the FAA.
Right. No, it makes a lot of sense. And I think one point I really want to drive home, because I have seen the promotion videos of like the Drone Racing League and things like that, where you mentioned it's fun for spectators, and it's not just watching kind of drones zip around an abandoned warehouse. Well, admittedly fun. I think the real spectator sport of drone racing is that first person VR that you get in things like the Vidius HD that we just talked about from you. Any spectator, be it after the fact or even live while the event is happening, you can actually take first person view of a drone and actually kind of see how they're piloting it. It's not like a cockpit view of NASCAR or anything like that. Like, you can actually get this first person sense of feeling, can't you?
And it's exactly what the pilot is seeing. So yeah, they were putting the virtual reality goggles, the first-person view goggles on spectators in the stands for that Drone Racing League, and they were seeing exactly what the pilot is seeing as they're flying. So they get that first-hand experience of, oh my goodness, how is he making these turns? How is he handling this pressure going so fast at these speeds and staying on track? So it's definitely getting very interactive, and I think this is definitely one of the more interactive sports that we've seen in this country, and I think it's going to take off. I think it's going to do very well.
I can't agree more. That and esports. I'm rooting for both of them. I really am. So and you mentioned real quick there the FAA. You meant obviously I think it's like anything under, and feel free to correct me because it's been a while since I read it, but anything under 55 pounds, or anything over 55 pounds, you need a commercial license for, and then there's a certain amount where you have to kind of register it. But all of yours very, very light. Do you see the FAA kind of tightening down, or do you think they've already kind of tightened down as much as they want to, and then they're going to slowly start loosening their grip as people get more comfortable and more familiar with drones?
Right, they definitely had to come down hard initially, just because they were behind the curve. Things had progressed so rapidly, sales had gone up so quickly that the FAA had to come down and be like, okay, look, everybody just kind of stop, hold on for a second. And then they put in this, saying, okay, if it's over 0.55 pounds, which is like 8.8 ounces, then you have to register it. They get $5 on an online site. And basically it's just saying, hey, you know what? I'm aware that there's rules and regulations, and I'm abiding and saying, yes, I will be a responsible drone pilot. For commercial purposes, they're going to keep tweaking that. And I do think that from here, things are going to get, not as restricted. They're going to start creating more open ways for people to monetize their commercial uses of drones and things like that. So, I definitely see the FAA embracing this more than condemning it, as they're already trying to make plans for commercial air traffic for drones and things of that nature. I think they're going to go with it. So it's a good thing for all the enthusiasts and for companies like me, even though we're not directly affected by the regulations. Our customers are, and we want them to be aware of flying responsibly and learning how to fly. So when they move up to larger drones, that they're ready and they're prepared.
Right. It only takes so many people flying them, over football stadiums or just places that they shouldn't, over people. It just takes a few to ruin it for everyone. And yeah, definitely be responsible about it. And we have been hearing about all the different applications for drones, not just hobbyists, not just enthusiasts, not just racing, but I mean, we do technology news here all the time. And we've talked about drones for emergency services. We've talked about drones for law enforcement. We've talked about drones for food delivery, of course. Who doesn't want a pizza by drone?
Absolutely.
We've talked about drones in almost every application. Where do you see, drones in the coming culture? Is it going to be as prevalent as it seems, or is everyone just kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks?
No, I definitely see a lot of commercial applications, especially in agriculture and infrastructure for inspecting towers, inspecting highways, roadways. They're already using drones for this now, and I definitely just see it takes away the human risk factor for a lot of these jobs, where previously the only way to get a good inspection on something infrastructure-wise was to send somebody up there. Now we can keep somebody safely on the ground and send up a drone with software that's ready to analyze everything down to the millimeter and report back, and then upload right from the user's interface. So I mean, it's going to make things definitely a lot more streamlined and efficient in many ways commercially. I definitely don't see it going anywhere, and I think it's some people may be throwing stuff to see what sticks, but I think a lot of it's going to stick. You'll end up finding out. Which is going to be great for everyone, because it's just going to make things a lot easier, a lot more streamlined.
Right. That is the promise of drones, is that they are to some level autonomous. They can do a very simple task, and it's one person sitting there monitoring. I mean, whenever a company like Amazon that does billions and billions and billions of dollars in commerce, and they say, we think drones are better than delivery vans, then you have to sit up and say, well, what else are they going to be good at? What else are they going to replace in the near future? So, I'm right there with you. Drones are, I think they're using them for all kinds of applications that that aren't probably going to stick. But as far as agriculture and like you said, inspecting buildings and things like that, and even small things to deliver, to delivering packages, drones are going to be there. And it's if you want to learn about drones, it's pretty easy to see why again, a company like AERIX Drones would be on your radar to see. It's a good place to start with drones. You get to kind of fly them, you get to see them, you get to play with them, and you get to see their capabilities. So obviously very, very important to get familiar with drones in the coming years. So let's talk about the future of AERIX Drones, and of course for yourself and Morrison Innovations.
Yep. So like I said, we launched the Vidius HD for the holiday season this year. I have 3 or 4 more. I've got at least 3 designs that I know will be out. I'm hoping to try and have 2 or 3 of them available for CES this coming year, but 3 to 4 more for the first half of 2017. All staying pretty much within the realm of our niche of small, handheld indoor drones, but just really taking some of these high-end features that you're seeing in larger drones, and I just keep finding creative ways to shrink them down in size and put them inside these small drones and just keep the cost down as well. So we're going to keep up with this niche of tiny drones. I think we're definitely the industry leader in it, and we're doing it right. And I'm looking forward to getting more of my patents granted so that we can continue getting everything off of the ground and stop some of these people there's definitely a lot of copycats out there. That's for sure. So I'm looking forward to finally being able to protect my designs and my intellectual property here. But yeah, nano size, micro size, palm size drones. That's AERIX Drones, and that's where we're going to continue going. As for the company, we just started branching out internationally. We're getting into distribution in Europe and Australia, so that's going to help us grow and build our global presence. And then also, I want to start looking into getting these. We've got a lot of interest from schools in the U.S. Who want these in their classrooms, who want to start teaching kids about drones and how it works and how quadcopter flight works and the stabilization process and things like that. So I definitely think education for the upcoming generation and preparing them for a future and a career related with drones is definitely where this country is going to be going.
Sounds like you have a lot ahead of you, and that is definitely a good thing because, hey, you want to stay busy, and I will be sure to stop by out at CES. I'm planning on going along with a couple other, I think we're going to team up with, I don't know if Charles Tendell was on the show when you were here, but he's, very much a drone enthusiast himself, longtime friend of the show, and then, a couple other publications. But no, I'll definitely make it a point to go out there and see you guys and see what you've been working on firsthand. It sounds like a lot of fun. And and let's go back to AERIX Drones. If people wanted to get their hands on one, do they go to Best Buy? Is it strictly Amazon or online retailers? How do people get AERIX Drones?
So if you're in the U.S., it's direct to consumer through our website at erixdrones.com. It's AERIX drones.com. We sell direct to consumer, very reasonably priced. We don't offer them through any of the large big box stores currently, just because I wanted to maintain that one-on-one customer interaction. I don't want to lose our customers their voice. So I have a relationship. We reach out to all of our current customers, and that's how we continue to be successful and grow our brand. So that's why I chose to sell direct to the consumer for the time being. If you're outside of the U.S., as I said, we're going to be setting up distribution companies in those other countries across Europe and in Australia, and we'll have that information on our website soon.
Very, very good. And of course, you can find a link to that website once again over at computeramerica.com. It's right there on our homepage. And Robert, I just gotta say thanks so much. Thanks for staying late. But I think it was a lot of good information, and I think we covered a lot of really good, kind of good practices and what's in the future for drones. So it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us on Computer America.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Yep, and we will have you back in the near future as well. So, Robert, have a good day.
Take care.
Have a good one. Bye. All right, and everyone, once again, that was Mr. Robert Morrison of AERIX Drones. You can check them out at erixdrones.com, and again, a link to that at computeramerica.com. They do drones small, and they do drones easy. Definitely check them out if you're new to drones. It's it's a good place to start. That's not the $400, $500, $600 price range. The most expensive drone again was $150, and they're even doing a special now for $75 with VR headset. So, again, a good place to start, I think, for a lot of consumers. But with that being said, we have like maybe 12 minutes left, and I really wanted to get into Google, because Google just had an event where they announced the Daydream VR headset as well as the Google Pixel. And the Google Pixel is, of course, the smartphone from Google that is designed to take on Apple and all things Apple. It's going to be a really, really nice phone, but the price, people have already been complaining about the price. So I say we just jump right into it. Let me play our little jingle here, and we'll get right into computer and technology news. And computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system using Slimware Utilities. You can find them, once again, slimwareutilities.com. Now, let's get into Google, because all things Pixel, they just had their event today, and it was off to a blazing start until they announced the price. And I guess people were kind of expecting that if it's going to be by Android and if it's going to be by Google. Google has tried with their Chromebook Pixel line before of getting into the premium line of Chromebooks, where Chromebooks have always had that really, really nice niche of $150 to $250. There's some more, some less, but in general, they stay in that very low end price range for a laptop-esque kind of experience. And that's where Google really excelled at. They tried this thing with the Google Chromebook Pixel, which was supposed to have a super high definition screen, great solid state drive, lots and lots of good specs, but the price point came in at about $1,300 or something like that for the Pixel laptop or the Pixel Chromebook. But people just didn't feel comfortable with buying a Chromebook that they saw as an inferior product for something that's, in some cases, you could buy a MacBook, which is seen as an industry expensive kind of deal. They could buy something similar for about the same price and not get a quote unquote Chromebook. So I think when people were expecting for Google to finally get into the smartphone business and make their own smartphone, I guess they were hoping for a price point that was more closely related to the Chromebook than the Pixel Chromebook. But because it does share the Pixel name, the line is, again, kind of skewed towards the expensive, and it's actually on par price-wise with the Apple with the Apple iPhone 7 Plus. Just the same size. It is they have two sizes: the Pixel and the Pixel XL, and of course, I'm pulling this from Daniel Cooper from Engadget. He did a great write-up of this today, and you can find it anywhere. They did a lot of great coverage of it. But they're saying that the Pixel and the Pixel XL aren't just a pair of handsets that Google's mobile division is producing with a third party like the Nexus device. Instead, these two new phones are emblematic of a dramatic shift in the way that the firm is going to build products in the future. And this is led by former Motorola chief Rick Osterloh, and is behaving much more like a traditional phone manufacturer, signing deals with mobile networks and managing distribution all by itself. And going into some of the specifics of just how powerful these phones are. I mean, they are they're pretty good. They're saying that the high point of this is the camera. They said that this is the best camera built into a smartphone yet. It has a 12.3 megapixel camera, and they claim that these phones notched the highest ever rating for a phone ever in the DxOMark test with a score of 89. And just in a comparison, by the same benchmark, the iPhone 7 was rated an 86. So they're saying that the camera is actually a little bit better than their competitor iPhone. Although they didn't stop there, they also claimed that the Pixel was also the fastest capture speed of any phones tested, while Google even pointed out that unlike the iPhone, there's no camera hump at all. So it's flush with the camera, or it's flush with the phone. And one more thing, since it comes with Google Photos built in, with the promise of unlimited photo storage for your photos and videos at their full original resolution. And that is something that Google can do because obviously Google is in the data information storage business more than anything else. They love collecting data and they love to analyze that data. So obviously they're going to let you, through the kindness of their heart, store as many photos and videos as you want. But of course, they have to be uploaded to the cloud and of course to their servers. So security-minded people, take it as you will. But I think for the average consumer, they're going to be very appreciative of that feature. But yeah, they're saying that the Pixel has a 5-inch display, while the XL has a 5.5-inch display, and they both run on Qualcomm Snapdragon 821. I saw a nice grid, and it showed that the dimensions of the smartphones very, very similar to, if you're used to the bigger form factor phones, then you're going to want the XL. And if you're used to the smaller, but still large phones, you're going to want the Pixel, which is just the 5-inch display. But the displays and the pixels and, and a lot of other things, as well as RAM and things like that, very, very like one-on-one with a lot of other phones out there. So just because it's Google and just because it's, I think they have a really important niche of like kind of not really lower quality, but definitely less expensive and less feature rich and less hardware intensive, or at least less focused on the hardware. Even though that's kind of Google's reputation, what you get with the Pixel and the Pixel XL in terms of hardware wise is very, very similar to many other Android type devices out there. So they also had some demos on stage, and they focused on the software, specifically how it can respond to a user based on what it knows about the app preferences, and provided relevant information in response to the question. One such demonstration was Google's AI assistant is activated either by pressing and holding the home button or starting a query with OK Google. And Pixel Imprint lets the user swipe down on the rear mount sensor after unlocking the phone to easily reveal your notifications, while the Duo app is built in for easy video calling. And to kind of give everyone a kind of a perspective about how important Google's AI assistant is, they're saying that the the Pixel line was built with the AI in mind, like from the ground up. So Google is thinking that because they have so much, again, data, and they know so much about you, you're assuming that you're going to be tying this into your Google accounts, be it your Google account between YouTube, Gmail, Google Docs, Google Photos. It's going to know all that, and they're hoping that with the AI assistant, it's going to be a great way to navigate all the information they have on you and all the information that you have with Google, and have them serve it up to you very, very efficiently. That remains to be seen. I personally not a huge fan of Siri or Cortana or really any digital assistant. I think they're pretty lackluster, but yeah, we'll have to see if Google can finally get that right, because the idea of having, just this virtual assistant that can pull things up for you automatically, definitely appealing, but it needs to be done right. Otherwise, it's just quicker to navigate, the traditional way. So we'll definitely see. But yeah, no, it runs on Android Nougat 7.1, so the latest Android operating system. In case anyone forgot for any reason, Google is, a huge part of Android. Like, Google owns Android, the operating system. So all the Android devices that, that this is competing with one-on-one, good that Google is making their own phone, but they're also still, of course, making money by selling their direct competitors, their smartphone. It's just Google licensed the software out to every other phone manufacturer, and every other phone manufacturer has to give a part to Google. So, it's so even if you avoid Google Pixel, you're still giving Google money unless you buy an iPhone. But hey, that's just the way it is. Now the price is the most important part, because again, it's kind of what people, it's kind of what tripped people up. And they're saying that the pre-order page is now available and reveals that upgrading to a Pixel XL will add about $120 to the price of a 32 gig model, and opting for 128 gigs of storage instead of, again, 32 adds an additional $100. And then a 2 years of device protection is yet another $100. So they're saying that that puts the price of an unlocked 128 gig Pixel XL at $870, which is the same price as a similar similar iPhone 7 Plus. And they went over some other phones here, but yeah, that's the big point, was that the price of these phones are almost 1-to-1. I mean, it's I think like the cheapest that you can get one of these is like $699 for a base Google Pixel model. So not the XL, just the base model. 32 gigs, no coverage, will run you $700. No, I'm sorry, $649. And that's something people, I don't think, were expecting from Google, was to hit that high price point. But they did. And then of course you get some of the added benefits of kind of syncing with Google. As we mentioned earlier, if you use any other Google service, obviously supreme integration with those. Google does a very good job of, when you get into the Google ecosystem, they make it very, very easy to stay there. So you get that, and then of course you also get Google's Project Fi service, and that's an option for all the phones, where instead of going with a phone carrier, you go with Google Project
90
Fi,
seconds.
and you get to make free phone calls on Wi-Fi. It will sync up with as many Wi-Fi hotspots that it can, and then whenever it can't, you sign up for the service, and it allows the end user to use whatever network is strongest in that area. So through one service, you get really, really good phone coverage, but you're not strictly with, Sprint, Verizon, or what have you. So just things to keep in mind. And again, that is the Google Pixel just announced, and they, we
60
didn't even
seconds.
get to their headset that they have, that they just announced, which is $80. And if you want to check it out, it is called the Google Daydream VR headset. Very, very cool, and I'm sure we'll touch on it here in the next day or two. Now, everyone, I know these shows are going fast, but hey, that is the point. We're trying to slim things down, trying to speed things up, and try to make the show more entertaining. So, again, always welcome comments, questions, concerns. Please feel free to email us at live@computeramerica.com, and we will read all of them. But thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been a lot of fun, and thanks again to our first hour guest, Mr. Robert Morrison with AERIX Drones. That was a really good conversation, and thanks again for staying over. And everyone else, thank you for tuning in, and hope that you tune in tomorrow once again for another
10
episode
seconds.
of the Computer America Show. So, see you tomorrow, and have a good one, everyone. Goodbye. And everyone's still out there listening on the Google Hangouts. Thank you for tuning in. And again, the video, I promise, is coming. I just had it working yesterday, and then it wasn't working. So yeah, we're working on things behind the scenes, trying to make things happen, and it's only going to get better. So I know things are rocky, but hey, we'll get through it. And again, thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow, everyone. Goodbye.